We are live again, and I don't have any popping right now. And hopefully, you guys will find me again. I will go over to
Share the link.
my thing again. Just 1 second. That's 3 days ago. Um, yeah, this is it. Share. Boy, I tell you what.
Getting better at technology?
No. Well, I mean, that's not up to me. I don't know what was happening there. I mean, yes, I take full for the fact that it was there. You guys have new link. I got two people. Say hi. I fixed our audio problem for now. I can't tell you how long that will be. Okay, so just say hi to people. We're going to continue on with part two. Let me do scrubber bar here and see where we are. The formation of the words that imitate the sounds associated with the object or actions that they refer to. Oh, onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia, if you don't understand, pop, bang, splash, whip, um, drip, buzz, that's called onomatopoeia. That's what they're talking about there. Words have power. They resonate and they alter the ether. You cast your intentions upon the ether, and you can create new things.
Did you talk about water creates music? Did you talk? When the fountains
No,
were
go ahead and speak to that. Speak to that.
When they created these castles of energy stations and the star engines, and when they created all this and all the technology with the water, when they made waterfalls and they made step falls in some of these properties, the water actually made sounds. And in the one castle, I can't remember the name of it. I wrote it in the notes. It started with a C. This castle, when they built the castle, and I can't remember how many steps it goes down, but each step was created in a way to make the water make a sound that was different than the step above. And so when the water comes down, it creates music into the atmosphere and resonance and vibration.
Hey, Dagmar. Yeah. Yes. So we're talking about the castle, not the one that they did Downton Abbey in, but one that's near it. And way before people could have even known, and they had a fountain that pumped water pressure up 300 feet into the air, which was impossible. But that's the power systems back then. But yeah, they had information about the drop of water, not a drop, but literally how far that water was dropping over a step of the whole fountain, and they would decrease that size or increase that size or keep a pool for a certain length. And together, when it fell, it ended up creating music because it picks up different tones. It also created a vibration in the ether because of the actual when the water molecules themselves landed, and they knew the code for that long time ago before we all just got completely programmed and dumbed and numbed down watching ridiculous crap, and then always feeling like we were coming up short in comparisons to the vetted vision that we were looking at. Well, they had a whole team of makeup artists.
Part of the plan of the idiot box is and it literally is an idiot box, and you are programmed to be entertained. And look at the kids today with the devices. They can't look up from their phones. They play video games. I've got one. And
Yeah,
they don't focus. Now my son loves to be outside, and he loves to climb trees, and he loves to
yeah,
build forts, and he loves, we lived on 7 acres when he was little, and he would climb through all the bramble bushes and create forts and stuff. And here he is, 17, sitting in front of a computer, and he doesn't do much else. And it's the technology and the idiot box and the phones and all the
right,
devices
right. Yeah,
are programming you to be entertained and crave entertainment and not do anything else, not go outside, not lay in the sun, not be at the beach and play on the beach. These are the things that will help heal the body. I mean, if you go to the ocean for the day, how do you feel when you come back? You've had this fantastic day
hey
by the
Vicky.
water,
Yeah,
you know?
I feel Ron and I always talk about this. I feel, well, sometimes I fall asleep, like, because I get
Me too, when I lay
the
in the
cre
sun.
yeah, I get the creature comforts just right because I got, like the best deck and the best towel and the best oil and the best fan that's making the temperature just right, and I got the best book. And if I've been digging and hauling and all this, and by the time I get to that position, sometimes I fall asleep, which is great because you wake up and you're more tan. But
Right.
um, irregardless, we both agree that the sun ends up being the battery that it is and ends up like supercharging you. And so for all of that, okay, let's see. Okay, so okay, so all of these villages and all of these hamlets, if you will, all, I was going to say all around Earth again, and it's not around. All across Earth were, before they could fly, before they had airplanes, they were cut into these star shapes, and then water. That was not only, it wasn't just holding water or the lowest part where water would then therefore capillary down and they were holding water. They literally pumped water there on purpose because water, when you intend it into a shape, it literally becomes a whole nother thing. And that is what we're talking about here. It's the sacred geometry of of running water into uh, a manipulated, on purpose, intended, therefore intentional shape around a certain sized thing, and it begins this series of gathering of electrostatic magnetic charge that other, if it's not in that shape, it it's in the air, it's in the ether, but it doesn't come down and concentrate in that area. It's a sacred knowing that we are talking about the sacred knowing that's been trying to be dumbed and dampened down and destroyed to never surface again, so that people don't understand their power, where they are, and how the natural things of this earth actually have unlimited power that we
Okay.
can, once we know that we can manipulate.
And these are called star engines.
Star
These
engines,
shapes, these
right?
geometric designs of cities with canals going through them in this shape. This
Paper's light,
it's an engine.
right?
And
These
we
are
call them
engines,
star engines.
and they're everywhere. So the all across this flat Earth, it naturally can become, if you intend it correctly, it's a electronic grid, and the water is the connecting things, like a circuit board inside of a computer, where the little welded pieces have to go out from one and then go to another. And if you zoom out from that and you look at a lot of cities, all of a sudden you don't know if you're looking at a computer chipboard or if you're looking at the actual aerial view of the city. And by the way, it's both. And they use the water to run the electricity or the supercharged free living water, not only to drink, but actually to carry the energy through the entire. And that's what it was. It was like we talked about spiritually about casting your intention upon the water.
Right.
Way before we were talking about this actual system called the energy grid. And the way that they disconnected it was they drained all the water out of these things. They depopulated basically the entire, I would say, planet, but we're not a planet. By the way, the word planet's definition means a small segment of the whole. And so
I noticed that he didn't show Venice, and that came to mind. I'd love to see.
Did. No, he did.
He did?
Yep.
The city of Venice. I must have missed that. There's so much to look at. I'm watching it here and I see stuff that I didn't see, and I've already watched it 2 and 3 times.
Right.
The water would have been present throughout the structure. Before the controllers destroyed and drained most of these structures, they were full of water. They were connected to rivers and canals and the oceans. They were a key component of the entire power grid.
You know how they talk about the currents of the ocean? Current, electrical current, not how fast and which direction that certain different parts of the actual water is flowing and how fast as a current like that. Oh, I couldn't swim because the current was too fast, or I was swimming against the current. Those things got extorted in the human language, and I was talking about this to you about this anyways the other day, and that Michael Jackson's Bad album, when it came out, was kind of like the beginning of the time of it, where they commandeered the meanings to mean the opposite. Bad meant incredible or the best. Sick now means, wow, that's sick, meaning that's hot. Hot means that it's really great. If you want to crush something, you're really just, doing your best and you're really scoring the highest at it. If you boy, I destroyed something, it meant that you took full advantage of it. If it's bad, it's good. The whole thing has been turned, and there's more. And if I kept saying them, you'd go, oh my God. And you go, well, what does that matter, DT? It doesn't really matter, does it? And it's like, it absolutely matters, because words are thoughts that are slowed down and they have their own vibration. And when they go out, they land on the ether, that it's this viscous liquid that you can't see, this substance of intelligence that surrounds all of us. The earth has a negative electric grid, charge pulling things down. There is no gravity. And that literally your thoughts lift you like lighter, literally, because you begin to become your own vortex. And in so doing, you begin to resonate more with all of the energy that's already free, that's already here, that they tried to tell you wasn't, and that they've been charging you for and sending you a bill. That entire thing seems like that. It's unrelated, but it's all related. And what we're showing you right now were the structures that they built, that they told you now in history books, that Rockefeller only was allowed to tell you the story because he's the only one that got the contract. And all of us were duped and lied to as kids. These are not forts where they defended their little hamlets there from warring factions. The lighthouses weren't to safeguard ships. Those were batteries. Palaces were not for the elite. Those were generators.
Water towers.
Castles, turrets, spires were collecting static electromagnetic energy right out of the air, harnessing it, bringing it down, throwing it into the water that surrounded them, and then unleashing that living water into all the little cities and all the little places. And people put these little things in the water, and their houses had lights, and there were moving sidewalks. And you guys, we're telling you, this is the absolute truth. It's not made up. Here we go.
The star structures are fractals of symmetrical geometry. just like many of the ceilings of these huge energy generators.
Gorgeous.
And, like the acoustic cavity magnetrons.
Yes, I will be putting this in the description box, okay? Vicky, I think you got, I don't know if you heard me, I would say that later. When I'm doing a live, I have to go back and fill in, like, after. Like, there's not a point. Well, I can just, it's in the Patriot Party already, right?
It's
And I put it over
day-
in,
day
and I
before
put it over in
yesterday
Signal.
and 3
You
days
guys
ago.
in the Patriot Party, share the link. Go ahead and share the link in the comment.
In the chat.
Natalie, First Light, Dagmar, Natalie, you've got the link. Andrea, you got a computer there or whatever that you're doing. You share it. I'm gonna sit here and do this. You're
Well, I
getting
would
my
have to-
pragmatic side. So you guys, every single one of these coffered, that's called a coffered ceiling, and in the most beautiful homes now, I've got one in my house that I just did that isn't domed, but it's a coffered ceiling. And in other places where we've lived, I liked architecture in general. I like the splendor and the beauty. And, if anybody that's been around our places over the years has gone, oh my God, because I just love it. I love design. It makes me feel great. Well, back in the day, these weren't designed necessarily just for that. And by the way, these are each like the size of a human being could stand in each one of those if you put them, if you could get up there. So these are enormous, and nobody had any money at the time. They were all in squalor and mud and horses. So these were done centuries before, okay, by people, and then they were told that they were just done, but they weren't. But each of those is called a cathoid, and cathoids in a grid and end up grabbing static electromagnetic energy out of the air and then channeling it down the I-beams, the iron, down into the ground, into the water, and then out from the palace. So every single bit of this architecture was for free energy. And it looked stunningly beautiful, and it was everywhere, in every window, in every door, in every ceiling. I mean, it's going to make touring castles and going and traveling around the world just a whole other damn trip now. I'll tell you what, I'm just so pleased I know this.
Some resonators, the symmetrical sharp diagonal walls would have caused the ions to perpetually vibrate. Old plans and illustrations, which have no doubt been edited or manipulated in some way or another, offer suggestion as to how complex, integrated, and essential the star geometry was to the entire grid. Look at Paris here. It isn't obvious at first glance, but upon closer inspection, we come to realize that the entirety of Paris was itself a star station, or a star city. And like with everything else constructed in the old world, these structures were at once functional and a celebration of the source of their innovation. Look closer at the star geometry here. Can you see the resemblance? The snowflake. Do you remember what happened in Masaru Emoto's experiment on water? Ethereal vibration expressing itself through water's molecular structure. Those of the old world had perfected this.
I want to announce to the world, using this moment right here, right now, that I'm aware of this Professor Matsumoto and his reflections on water. And I've started my own water company, my own purveyor of this customized water bottle that's going to be for sale. And it has, in reflection to the water on the inside, powerful words. What he did was, on little petri dishes, he got this water from this one pond only, so that people couldn't say, but you got it from different sources. You got it from a faucet, you got it from a spring, you got it from over here, if you got it from a lake. He took them all, samples, so we put them in little clear petri dishes. He took them back and he froze them all at the same time. But before he froze them, he took tape and he put words on each around, so that to the water, that the water could read the word. And on some he put Hitler, some he put death, he put murder, and then he put happiness, joy, bliss, abundance. And when the water came down and froze down into crystals, the ones where he put sickness or cancer or Hitler, they all looked like conglobulant, non-beautiful, symmetric, like bubbled up acid eaten bits of ick. And the ones where he put God or he put love, they formed these perfect, symmetrical, crystalline structures that were just unbelievable to behold, or like the structures that have been built on Earth that they used to channel water in. Okay, so you see at the subatomic level that the infinite intelligence, God everywhere, even in the infinitesimal. You're casting your intention and how you feel on it. It's altering your physical being all the way through, depending on what you're saying. Command yourself, command your thoughts, command your words. Stand up and be consistent. Take a break from the other crap. Don't think that this is silly. This is the extorted notion that I am weak and I am a fool and that I am Pollyannish because of my ability to say what I say, and that I'm not a contender because I haven't, by the scientific journal and peer reviews of the intelligentsia at the university levels, that I'm a quack, that I'm to be dismissed. Guess what? The real power is here, and I know it. They don't want you to know it. They want you to dismiss me or people that refer to in the ways that I am addressing you. But this is the true power, my brethren. This is the way that you stand. This is the way that you think. This is the way that you affirm it, you claim it, you acknowledge it, you act on it, and manifestations come in abundance all day long when you do this. When you don't, then you say, well, that was foolish, or I didn't believe that, and that the only answers that you get, or the manifestations only then therefore that you can get, are the ones that prove that you were right. And but you're being right. What you're being right about are unwanted things joining you. Whereas what I'm being right about are wanted things only joining me. So who is better off? I am. This guy. Because I know the value of my thoughts and I intend them all day long, deliberately, consistently, keeping them buzzing and humming way up here. And dip down into the murky mire of gossip and rumor and backbiting and negative and doubting and disparaging and, oh, I'm never good enough. And I watch what I say. I don't even jest. I don't even say anything about myself back at myself. Like, I can say it right now, just for example, like I'm a fool, or that's just my luck, or I've never been good, or I'm a bad person, and stuff like that. You'll never hear me say it. I said it like that. The universe knows I'm instructing and teaching and knows the difference, and I don't feel that way, by the way. So a word, I can undo that with just like going back to my normal. By the way, I didn't dip down to say it, but I wanted to make sure that you understood that I knew what I was saying before I said it, so that I'm trying to break you away from your casual. Can I call somebody out on this? I had some personal consultations, and you know who you are. And while we were speaking, you'd say, well, I know all of that, DT. And then you describe a situation because I wanted you to. And in the sheer describing of it, your words were so the old pattern or lower limited thought vibrations that actually have been creating the content that you're complaining about and that you wanted to see change, but you're still in the same pattern of speech and your thought process. The definition of insanity is continuing to do the exact same thing, the exact same way, and always expecting different results. And you can't get different results if you don't take a break from the usual jargon, how you used to think about things and describe them. And if you can't automatically change that overnight, that's fine. Just go general then. That's what I mean by go general. The best way to get yourself out of an old unwanted pattern is to just find anything you can to distract yourself from it for long enough. Like enjoy something. Let yourself off the damn hook. Let yourself go. You think that what this video is saying and what I'm saying now are different? No, they are exactly the same. They've been using all of this distorted historical view of everything that's actually happened on purpose to keep you from understanding how powerful you are. It's in the water, my God, and you're 75% of it. Sing a new song. Your words are music on the ether. Claim it. Speak it. I And if you want more money in your bank account, Andrea, don't describe it to DT. Or know the value of not describing it to DT in a way that says, well, I know it's not here yet, or, well, I am being patient as I wait. Well, all of that is a feeling. And if you really understand when you say something, if it feels like it's going upstream and it's hard and unwanted, or if it feels good and exhilarating and fun, and you just have to act as if and cheat the universe, trick it. It's okay. It doesn't care. It doesn't care at all because it's a universal law. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. You don't owe anything to anybody, but understanding the power that has always been yours. We are naturally abundant. We're naturally blessed. It's in the water. It's floating through the air. They used to harness it and give it away to everybody. It hasn't changed. It's still here. Grab your piece of it by intending what you mean. Instead of pointing out the stuff that broke and keep trying to focus a light on it, you've made it a big impasse and you need help and you need everybody's opinion on it, ignore it. My God, ignore it and move on to the thing that seems more fun. And you go, well, that's not responsible. They told me when I was a child, I have to face reality or it's going to get me. And it's going to get worse if I don't take care of it now. I got to white knuckle it. I got to make it a big, hot, heavy mess because it's going to get more out of control if not under my, I'm going to get it. Or it's going to get me. It's like, no, opposite. You have to ignore an unwanted reality or it will keep showing up for you on purpose, thinking that, my God, you're God. You certainly wouldn't be focusing taking all your time and energy and on that if you weren't getting something out of it that you like. So we're going to keep giving you reasons to feel that way because you're having fun. And that's not the universe being sarcastic to you. That's really how the universe works. It thinks whatever that you're doing, even if it's bitching and hating, it thinks that you like that. And so it keeps giving more circumstances for you to bitch about. See, you're always going to be right. You just have to determine what you actually want to be right about. I love that stuff. Love it. Okay, here we go.
Science. They knew the key to release.
You wanted to say that prompt that inspired you. I'm glad my glitch is gone for now. I hope it doesn't come back.
What I've been doing, and since conversation, is the feeling of
Take
freedom.
yourself off the cross. Absolutely. Go ahead.
The feeling of freedom, the feeling of joy, of being able to do what I want, help people, go have fun, dig in the dirt, grow flowers, do the things that give me absolute joy, and the feeling is important. Like you said, the feeling. Remember how it makes you feel, and thank the universe for that feeling. That's what I've been doing, and things have changed just in the last couple of days. So
Dagmar says, I have to move and build a house close to you so I can be closer to you. You are a treasure and teach us so much. And Dagmar, I am I'm so in love with you. Like, I am so in love with all of you. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. I mean, I really do. I love you guys so much. And I feel the same way. I feel the exact same way. I can feel it. And let me tell you, that person laying on the couch that dismisses somebody or would like to ridicule somebody for them always being so what they see as like weak or oh, you're just Pollyannish, and oh, you're not real, and you're not a real contender because we can't smell you and recognize you unless you've got all this analytical, critical stuff that is problematic, and that you've got this complicated system of infrastructures, and like, while things are going good for you, it's hard, and I did this, and then they did this, and it's like, that whole thing, that whole thing, I'm not available for that whole thing. And by the way, I have everything, and I don't need anything. And I mean, I was just looking at round trip flights for you to come here soon. I mean, I can do all of that. You know, and because I've been staying practicing just long enough that all the abundance has been able to catch up with me, the natural stuff. And I mean, like, it's in the water, people. It literally is in the water, and we are made of it. You know, all these spas and these treatments and these counselors and these this, that, and the other thing, these placebos, if you will, to get to here is bullshit unless you need it. And I mean, I'm not saying don't go and use the tools that are there for you to use to act as a gateway or a bridge to get here, but you don't really need it. All you really need is to let yourself more off the damn hook and have some more good times. And stop trying to act like you're trying to get stuff done and add them up and put them in a big box so you can show off to everybody how much that you've actually accomplished, because none of that shit matters. The only thing that matters is how much fun are you having today? Because that's
Right.
the only reason that you're doing it all anyways. Just stop acting like it's a big old thing. It ain't. You know, I mean, I will never say, I've written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs. Okay. And I love them, and I loved doing it. I like the process of it, but it's not the beginning, the middle, and the end. I mean, I'm still expanding, and I'm still going, and I'm just, you know, I'm just going. Anyway, here,
In
I'm gonna keep on going
electromagnetism's
here for a second.
potential was through sound and water.
Okay, so I just want to get to this, and I am going to start scrubbing quicker. I'm just while my sound isn't screwed up. Andrea, how are you for time?
I'm good. I don't have anything the rest of the day.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, Ron's gonna hate it, but anyways, okay, guys, bear with us, okay? Because this will be here in the kitty, and you can refer back to it. We want to put it in the can for posterity's sakes, right, Andrea? So this is the good work. We're gonna do it once, and then of course, you know, we're moving in the river. We're in the current. We're in the current of the river, and we're flowing down. Who knows where we're going, but it's going to be amazing. And this moment in time right now, we're trying to capture for posterity's sake, so it's in the can forever. I not only have these on YouTube, and you guys have links to them, but I make sure now right afterward to grab the whole thing, bring it onto my desktop in case some other source would like to cancel that light, so I can keep putting it back up 1,000 times. So don't worry about that. We'll always have access to it. And remember, it's floating through the air, so you can tap in at any moment. I wanted to say about sound, these cathedrals and these churches on purpose didn't have choirs, and they didn't have pipe organs. By the way, the pipe organs were impossible to build the engineering into these cathedrals of steel and everything during the time that they were done, because they were done way before even, which means that would have been even more impossible. And there weren't smelting things. And Andrea, you could put more words in there. You've watched it 3 times.
The technology was not there to build the organs. The organs were made from metal.
They're ancient, like way back. Like,
very
like 50, 60,000 years ago. So the organs,
and if you've ever heard one of those organs in person, you can feel the vibration in your body. Right. You know that those organs are powerful.
Right. And the organs were put in on purpose to bounce off the architecture, to resonate the static electromagnetic, to supercharge it to where it was so powerful that you literally would be transformed just in the presence of the bell ringing. You know how these towers have bells through all time? The bells they weren't to herald people of the time, of the hour. They weren't to call you to dinner. They were literally resonating, using the resonation chambers to send out more electrical free energy across the village. The bells sent the energy. It is like, I mean, you guys, when you hear this and you put it all together, and there's a lot more. When you put it all together, there's a lot more. When you put it all together, yeah, but also you immediately feel like, oh my God, I'm so at peace. Like I feel so happy. I feel so happy and at peace. And people were constantly, they begin to hear this, like millennials in particular. David Weiss puts himself on the firing line. He says, because what is the use of doing videos on flat earth if I'm just two other flat earthers where I'm just preaching to the choir and they're all patting me on the back and blowing smoke up my bum. He says, I put myself on the firing line constantly because I'm trying to get you to come back with us so that we can all go together.
Yeah.
So here's a little bit about that sound, and then we'll move on.
Look at the patterns. Magnetrons. This is why so many magnificent rose windows resemble cymatic patterns so close.
Have you seen that vibration plate that they put sand on?
Yes.
And then they play that MIDI keyboard next to it, and it sends the note across the plate, and the sand forms a crystal, a perfect crystal. And then they hit another note, and it forms a completely different crystal. Yeah. Sound waves are forming the shape. The shape is altering the sound wave. It's both. They're proving it with sand. They can take the sound and the energy and create shape. And you can also create the shape first and then manipulate the energy. Unbelievable.
This is why they look like the petrified pulsations of a star. The entire ceilings of many cathedrals also mirror this sacred cymatic geometry. This is why so many of the structures contain huge bells and chiming clocks. The tolling bells would emit powerful vibrations and frequencies and influence an entire area's water supply. The sound would influence the molecular structure of the water, which was then used for a variety of purposes.
It would influence the structure of the water and begin a buzzed vibration in it that not only for plants, but would be drank. And when it drank, it would inspire new elevated thought processes and ideas that would then be able to super empower that person's ability to think even better. And then it would lend to the next association, and that person had a sip, and then we would have a micro called a mastermind alliance. We would have a mastermind alliance because we drank the same living water. And then it would ripple out, and people were so happy, and nobody was batting the other, and there was an unlimited abundance of things whenever that you needed them. Nobody was robbing any stores because you could just go to a store and pick it up for free. It was everywhere.
And that's not all. Many of these structures also housed another wonder of the world. The king of sound. The organ.
Wow.
Have you ever stopped to look at some of the great organs before? These were not constructed by ordinary people in the 19th, 18th, 17th, and 16th century.
Yeah, these people are horse and buggy.
Like the structures they reside in, they are a marvel of elegance and majesty.
How are you going to do that with
the most powerful sound instrument in the world?
No tools.
Yeah, they had no tools. they were using corn cobs and you know what to wipe you know what. They didn't have the good old days was they had long superseded them, and they had no idea what they were looking at. They just assumed that somebody that they didn't know had built it, and they got inspired by it. But when they took the water away, it de-energized them. We're going to move it along.
They kept the water electromagnetically charged, and the aqueducts and viaducts would have worked in a similar fashion. It is likely that a lot of the huge electromagnets we see scattered across our...
You see how all of the aqueducts over all of the countries, no matter if they even spoke the same language, they all had the same structure of the arch. The downward arch going negative and positive polarity back to the negative charge that was resonating from free energy off of the earth, up to the iron stone that had the iron oxide that electromagnetized the living water that was carried across even other water and into more populated areas. No aqueduct was ever built that didn't have the reoccurring arch all the way through it. Those are magnets. It's
A
amazing.
realm would have actually
It's not
straddled
just for
parts in
support. They
water,
could have built any
much
shape
like we
for
see on the
support.
Volga-Don Canal, even though it's unlikely that the Volga Arch is original, and that many roads themselves were constructed during the Great Reset. It is likely that the inheritors of the 19th century were instructed to drain and fill many of the tributaries that once carried water.
Right. There's a whole like elite class that are the survivors, and that's when they were like propagating with cousins only. Like, you know, they say you have to be of royal blood, and the royal bloodlines and the family lines. They were the harbingers of the extorted historical swindled narrative, which I use that a lot, but it's so pertinent, imperative, you know, that they were there to do that. I'm getting a little bit of that sound now. My audio is starting to glitch again. I'm gonna move this. I'm gonna move this down. I don't know what happens.
That was the fountain that they built to make the sound with the steps. Yeah,
Right.
and that's the property.
Right there.
Cascade.
It was repurposed as the stables. The horses of the 19th century clearly lived better lives than most of the population. Above, atop of the hill next to the Emperor and Swiss Lake, we can see the quadruple capacitor, or water tower. This was repurposed as a hunting tower. But, stalking the 105-acre grounds, a visitor with eyes to see might spot some unusual sights. One of which is the half-ruined obelisk hidden away in the tangled overgrowth at the bottom of the hill below the lake. The official, controlled history that visitors receive when touring Chatsworth conveniently
Chatsworth,
leaves out
that's
any
it.
mention
Chatsworth,
of the
yeah.
obelisk. For you see, the hunting tower was not Chatsworth's only capacitor.
We have to go to
The
Chatsworth.
entire estate needed
Yeah, I
constant
would
water
love to go
storage to
see that
fulfill
property.
its energetic
It's a day.
requirements and purposes. There are many odd structures dotted around that remain unexplained. And then there is this, the Cascade, a true little wonder. The dome, a series of toroidal circles that rise to meet the smaller copper dome.
Check this out. In that cupola was the spinning engine of the Mercury, and the pump at the bottom of this thing. Look at the people standing in that arch. That's the deceptive scale. The water was able to be pumped up to the top of the roof of that, and then also cascaded down even the dome of it, and then down through the walls of it. Check this out.
They tread carefully here, making sure they force a distorted history on you. But, as always, they cannot help themselves. They just have to tell you, in their own roundabout controlled manner. As the placard states, water can be made to flow over the roof and out of 13 spouts. Some of these spouts are crafted in the form of immaculate stone dolphins and giant fish. There are even hidden jets in the floor, they tell us. The water is received from the lakes above and is used twice more in its journey to meet the River Derwent below. Once in the South Lawn Fountain, and again the private West Garden. But look closer at what they acknowledge. Each step of the cascade is different from the one below and above it to vary the sound of the falling water. This was allegedly built in 1703. Why would an 18th century people be concerned with varying the sound of falling water? How did they even have the knowledge and skills to manipulate the sound of water like this?
It was like a piano keyboard.
And it's everywhere in the estate. The waterways, streams, and rivers all meander gently down to rest briefly at ponds and lakes before continuing their journey toward the River Derwent. Their journey is one of such splendid sounds. As you begin to traverse the labyrinthine passages of our corrupted history, you will inevitably meet the lithographs, renderings, engravings, illustrations and paintings. How easy it is to lie when there is no photographic or visual evidence, just artistic interpretation. We would never accept illustrations as reliable sources of information today. So why do we accept them as historically accurate? And while these are not to be trusted, devoting some time to browsing their particulars can yield some interesting insights. For instance, the fountain here looks wildly out of proportion. Did it used to jet water more powerfully? And some would claim artistic exaggeration. But if you dig a little deeper, you come to learn that the original Emperor fountain, constructed in 1843, was able to jet water at a height of 296 feet. What? How? This is the 19th century we're talking about. And like I said, they cannot help themselves. Even Wikipedia states that the water power of the fountain found a practical use in generating Chatsworth's electricity.
I was commenting on a YouTube video the other day about this guy that was debunking flat Earth, and I rarely do this, and I went ahead and commented, and the backlash that I got. I think I've had maybe 50, 60, 70 comments on my one comment trying to destroy me from what I said about vibrational resonance and things. And I told people that I said, don't worry if you can't facilitate this understanding now. It's because you've been in such deep programming for so long. Just be easy on yourself. And it's all about vibration. And maybe you'll get there next lifetime. And I mean, the hate and the vitriol that was lavished upon me was so unlike, balanced. It was so over the other side. And I kept I would go ahead and comment to some of them because I got quite personal. I think they went and they started, actually a lot of them started going and cyber stalking me to all my different sites to find out who I was.
Yeah.
To kind of crush this voice and this message. And it's deep. It's thick and deep with a lot of people. They, it's a lot, and it scares them, and it's the fear. It's a pain body inside of people that can't take it, and they're afraid that that forever they'll be lost in the wilderness if they even entertain any portion of this true knowing now. And so while that's unfortunate, while I care to bring you the message, in no way are you going to affect me, and even for 1 second, with your over-the-top, overcompensating attack. I totally, because I'm an unlimited thought, I totally, of course, know all of the moves that you would make in limited thought, because I'm not there anymore. But I used to be. So you're not surprising me at all. I'm the only one doing any surprising. You're common, and you have a lot of. I told one person, I said, don't worry so much. There's a lot of people that are in agreement with you that are over in that more limited, slower vibration. You're going to have a lot of buddies and a lot of friends. So don't worry about me. There's going to be a lot of people that agree with you. You're going to have a whole posse of friends. You guys can go out and drink and everything. Don't make me so damn important about it, But no, they wanted me to go too, or come away from the unlimited back to the limited.
The truth. They hear the truth, and they don't like what they hear, and the only way that they can attack it is to attack personally, and with so
well, it's a sign. It's the obvious sign. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
When they can't attack the truth, they attack the person.
So this goes on to talk about the World's Fair, about the largest glass pavilion that was built before they had manufacturing factories to manufacture glass on that level. It was all done. We're meant to believe it was done by the local laborers. Impossible. During that one particular reset, it was all torn down and destroyed. so that
1920.
here's a crystal cathedral. We know that about that one that's, I think, either in California or Utah, where the resonance, they understand the value of the resonance bouncing off the crystal. We're going to move past the architecture. There's some living waters and spas and things, and more about that. The flat Earth. There's where the Mercury capsules used to be up there that spun in free energy, and that's the capacitors and stuff that in modern of what they would look like if you were to build the piece of junk. But these are the natural ways that things were built on purpose to harness free energy for the people. More cupolas everywhere. Everywhere you look.
That one was the one that showed the holes, and it showed the 4 holes, and
Yeah.
it had a statue or something in the middle.
Every bit of these roofs and everything. My glitchy is back. That's just the way it is. We're not going to be too much longer, you guys. I'm going to go through this. Yeah, horseshoe magnets. That's exactly what they were, Vicky. That's what the Arch de Triomphe is. It's the largest horseshoe magnet on Earth. Anyways, we'll keep going. Cupolas. Oh, they had miniature ones. That's where they're taking it out, right?
Yeah.
So they had miniature ones that you could hold, and everybody had one in their house, and it picked up the same signal like a 5G tower, like a cell tower to a cell phone. It was the mini version, and you could put it on your coffee table, and it powered your house. And then we go on and talk about the man that carried Christ across the water, which was it talks about Mercury and how it was called Quicksilver by the light of the silvery moon in our atmosphere at the level where there are 7 layers of gases in our atmosphere, and the one where the moon formed is of this compound, and the one where the sun formed is of the sun's compound, and it's in the layer. Remember how we were told as children not to ever touch Mercury? It was dangerous for you. It was in thermometers. Mercury got a bad name because they don't want you to know what it does.
Right.
By the way, if you spin Mercury in a accelerator, it creates another whole. It's the only liquid metal, and it creates this whole other thing. They don't want you to know that. Yeah, my total sound crap is back. Okay, moving along. They took lions and eagles and they put them together, and they created this thing called a griffin. And a griffin became the symbol for this extorted notion. They put it in the history books and other things. There's some of those individual power.
That was showing the symbol of, they were saying that all throughout history, in all of the before religious icons became a thing,
like the swastika. Yeah,
these were used everywhere. That these representations, and it's the crescent, the cross, and the swastika. It wasn't representing Hitler. They stole it from.
Yeah, they swindled it to make it dark.
Yeah, it's part of the symbolism of the black sun. It's part of the symbolism of power, and they distorted it by using it. And this is talking about, how sometimes they say, well, this church was built in this century, and then later it became a mosque, or the designs are very similar. And that was one of the things that I noted in the notes, was that all these buildings all over our realm, our domain, have very similar design, even though they're built in other, quote, times, like Renaissance, Roman, Elizabethan, Anytime anything's built, they'll like tell you what century or what time frame that it was built in. But all of these buildings have such similar architecture. It just matches up all over.
Right. I know that my sound is messed up. So I wanted to say this is the World's Fairs, and then not. During the World's Fairs, they would light a city, and then after that, they would leave the lights on, and until a great 100-year reset would come, all the cities had electricity. That was free with the moving sidewalks. We're gonna go ahead. This was Luna Parks. This is where they had the incubated babies for sale.
Right.
Gonna keep going. I think I'm doing pretty good about scrubbing here. We're starting to get into the actual. You see, the medical field has the extorted snakes going up the scepter. Okay, this is a little bit of the pond. Let's go
Out
here.
of all of her flat facts, it was one fact that struck a chord. She showed me the maps of old and asked me to find the key anomaly, the one error that all maps contained. I pointed to the varying representations of unknown land masses, to Hyperborea. She shook her head. No, find the glitch. We live on a flat plane. Our world is an electromagnetic terrarium, surrounded by an ethereal sea of water. And like all terrariums, after initial creation, they begin to form their own self-sustaining atmosphere. The sun and the moon journey above our flat realm in concentric spirals. There are 5 prominent circles of latitude, we are told. We have the Arctic Circle, closest to the center. The Tropic of Cancer at 23.5 degrees latitude in the northern hemisphere. The Equator at 0 degree latitude. The Tropic of Capricorn at 23.5 degrees latitude in the southern hemisphere. And the Antarctic Circle. The sun journeys from the equator at the March equinox up in concentric spirals to the Tropic of Cancer.
Yeah, the zodiac and the map, it's very complicated. You'll have to watch the
It
video.
is and it isn't. Yeah.
It really my mind, I really had to watch it several times and to understand how the age works, the zodiac wheel and how it moves, and this is the representation of the reflection of the moon, and he was
Just as it had
going
always been.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that the cross, that's the original Latin cross, where the line is higher than the center, meaning it's not equal, that the cross, like the Jesus cross, that the board that's going this way is up, like not quite 2/3, but that when you look at where we are, our dome is to the whole circle, it forms what they call the cross, and at any given, there's only one given moment in time, called a period, where you live exactly at the center of the cross, and the cross keeps turning, and it's like those ancient clocks that he was just showing, those Gothic clocks. They had that same cross in there, and that cross turns and tells you where you are on the whole wheel, and that cross keeps turning. And right now, well, we always will be. We're always at the center of life. We're always right at that point of the cross. That indicates where the dome is, where the sun and the moon are doing their dance. It's always under that cross where it crosses. Just love that. Okay, here we go.
Mirror, mirror, way up high. Mirror, mirror in the sky. Mirror, mirror, oh how they lie.
That's a mirror of the continents on Earth, with some added. He'll show you. Now, if it's a mirror, then it's that way, okay? So if you can see my cursor, there's Florida down there. This Lemuria sank. Can you see my cursor? I can see it, and I don't see why you can't see it. Now watch when they zoom in. Nothing's been changed here. Every lake, every river, every outline, every exact distance from one thing to the other is exactly the same, except that Lemuria was a continent between our west coast of the United States and Japan. It sank. It sank. And then Atlantis up in the north, it sank. Other than that, the continents are exact. And then there's this whole other unexplored area yet. You'll see it.
It's going pretty fast, but you can see it.
So there you see Florida, the Gulf of Mexico, Cabo San Lucas, going from Baja California, going up the California coast. You're seeing it on a reflection upside down. So, and then from the distance where it is, whatever that's made of plasma, and the light trying to show you what it looks like, what it's seeing of the land masses. And this isn't a current snapshot. This was, there's a theory about it. This was at the dawn of creation, that there, like an X-ray would take an image of a broken bone. It's only showing the hardest land masses above the water. It's not showing the water, and it doesn't show soft tissue and ligaments and things like that like an X-ray does. So it captured using mercury, which is the basis for all photography. Its lens was open, and it took a snapshot over time of what it saw underneath it. It's the only true map that we'll ever have is looking at the moon in water. Watch the water, people. That little girl asked Buzz Aldrin, when are we going to go back? How come it's been so long since we've been back to the moon? And he said, that's a very grown-up question for an 8-year-old girl. That's a question that somebody else would ask. But since you asked it, I'll answer. It's because we've never been there. Because we never went. Love that. Okay, now, this is what I wanted to point out. Look at all of the dark area that's not the highlighted. and you remember the cross with the crescent on top of it used on top of spires? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you take that and you cut out the area that's our known lit place, just cut it out. What's left is that crescent shape that they put on top of the ball and the cross. That indicates exactly where we are at any given time. And I wish you could see my cursor because I'm pointing to exactly where we are in Kentucky on the one continent. But when you see it, you see it. That's all of the reflection of the moon showing us what it sees down here that we've never been to. Or what they don't tell us is here.
Frozen.
That's over the ice wall. That's over Antarctic in every direction. So, and by the way, as our domain circles around this bigger circle where it thaws out and there's actual civilization allowed for 8 to 10,000 years, it is all until it freezes behind it. There is a sweet spot in the center where it's always good, where it's always the sweet spot, where the sun always does migrate on an annual basis. And we're thinking that's where the higher intelligent beings like what are the name of them? Well, it could be Anunnaki as well. Yeah. They have our back, and there's some other intelligent life beings but free will is sacred, and they're not allowed to. Universal law says that and there are some that come here, come and go, because they're very advanced and they can alter their vibration at will, and they do come in and they do go out, but nobody can. Agarthan, First Light says, and I forget what the other name of it is. Anyways, there are unknowns, but the bottom line is this is exactly. There's no coincidence that every port and continent line and juxtaposition of size to itself is all there, right there, in a reflection of the moon, in a mirror image, and that we already know that's not a coincidence. It's already proven. It's not up for debate. So that means all of this extra stuff has been here the entire time and has been held back. That's why there's an Antarctic Treaty, because you're not allowed to. People say, yeah, you can go to Antarctica. It's like, you can try. You can fill out permits. It costs you $200,000 ultimately to get all the permits to actually go, but it's illegal to carry fuel past the 60th parallel. So you're not allowed to go very far. Well, why would that be? Why would they make a place on Earth illegal for all people to go to and all countries signed on to it? It's because they don't want you to know all this stuff's over here, because they're afraid if you found out where you were, you wouldn't buy their bullshit anymore. That's just part of it. By the way, wow, that's some weird audio. I'm hearing the glitch. It's definitely creative. All pilots and scientists that are holding back the information that already know only use the reflected distances that they have as the lunar map back to coordinate, to find all coordinates. There's no other map. They have to use what they have gleaned from the moon. moving down. It talks about the swastika and that it's really the sign of the vortex, and they tried to make it a bad thing, so you no longer looked at it for the energy that it actually is. And it was used from the Hopi Indians to like hundreds of cultures way before the
Romans used it.
right, way before the Nazis made it a, yeah. It talks about what's really underneath our feet. That's the black sun that's actually inside the earth. The small band around the inner black circle is a molten metal that is actually in a spin or a torque underneath our surface, that creates an electromagnetic static charge to the surface and then reacts with the ether above us, and together they form a battery. And that's what makes energy everywhere. So it makes plants grow and water flow and everything else. That's the known world, and that's the rest of it. Under the domain. X-rays aren't reflected easily. There's the Pink Floyd's The Wall, which was, kind of a sign. They have a sneaking suspicion that the solar Polaris vortex in the center is a projection that the Aurora Borealis is a sign of. You can go up there and look at the Aurora Borealis and gaze at its wonder, but what it isn't, it's not electrolyzed particles from the sun that's hitting our magnetic belts. It's actually a fire that's raging inside. That's because they can hear crackle and hissing and explosions.
Yeah.
There was the different gas layers up all the way up to the dome. The dome at its height, I think, is about I think maybe it might go up 500 miles. It doesn't go any further than that. I know that over New Mexico, it's at 73 miles. At least the first viscous liquid begins over New Mexico at 73 miles up, or 385,000 feet. I think that's right. Yeah, that's right. I'll try to get my numbers right for you. I study and I put it away somewhere and I can recall it like crazy. I don't know. Like those two arrows underwater where one turns the opposite direction, light plays tricks on your eyes and creates upside down images. That's about silver nitrate or quicksilver that was kind of made illegal to handle, and for good reason, because it's a magic liquid metal that has all kinds of cool properties. Some of the rockets we've shot off have actually splashed into the ocean that's above us. It skimmed it and it leaves the exact same trail. I'm giving you kind of the Cliff's Notes. That's the firmament above us reflected back in an X-ray from the moon of what actually it looks like. It's got energy ley lines in the dome above us. That's the overlay over the land masses. It was captured at some point in time. They don't know exactly when it was captured, but that's water. That's our dome. So that's underneath that, and you can see where it looks like an old tetherball, or I used to play dodgeball. It looks like those big rubber balls we had in gym. Looks like my stable exercise ball where you go to fill it up. It looks like that. But that's really what it is. It's the dome that you're seeing. It's really crazy. Okay, we're going on. I'm just really studying myself. There's that cross where see how it's off center? See the black portion of the dial where it crosses?
Mm-hmm.
the black metal, that's indicative of where what am I trying to say? Sentient beings can thrive under that cross. Other than that, it's pretty wicked. It gets, because the sun doesn't do its dance, but around that cross. There it is right there. And the rest of it is the rest of flat Earth. Eventually, we make our way all the way around it, under that. And that's what they wanted you to think, that it was a thing, and that we are out here alone, and it was dangerous, and it was evil. There is the outer core, the electromagnetic coils underneath us. That's true Polaris North in the center of all the land masses, and the small concentric circles, that's our magnetic north for where we are right now. And our magnetic north, that white dot, center dot, travels around that red ring, around the true center north. So eventually our North Pole is over there, all the way on the other continents, and then our Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, the sun and moon do their dance over there. And that's about...
It moves 30 degrees every
2,160 years. It moves 30 degrees.
Yeah. And then it's 26,000 something?
It's 25,920 years for a full circle all the way back to where we are right now. We'll be back to where we are right now in 25,970 years. So hold on. We'll be back. If you like Cabo now, wait till you see it then. That's pretty funny. So the moon's X-ray picture of us, it's quicksilver nature, the plasma that captured the image. We don't know exactly how that image was made. It was done by the God spark and everything for us to remind us to always be the truth, as above, so below. It was there for us the entire time, because free will is sacred. Free will is sacred. There's that cross. So that's where we are right now, and only life is allowed under the cross. The view of the dogmatic religions around the world extorted it to keep people in a prison state in their mind. That's not what it was about. It was understanding the physics and the universal law of electromagnetism and energy and thoughts and manifestation and everything else, so that you too could master creation. And you can master creation. You're doing it anyways. You're just doing it by default. You call it bad luck, most of you. But the truth is, when you harness it deliberately, you can have whatever that you want. So there you go.
You can see, we have...
And what do the scriptures have to say about this?
All right, go ahead, and we're almost done. I think I did pretty good there.
We have unlimited space. You know how they're always screaming that we're running out of land and we've got too much population, and that's why they're doing this reset, and they're trying to remove 6.5 billion people from the earth with this pandemic. Their plan was to remove that many people, and right. we have plenty. I mean, in our circle, we have plenty of land. But look how much land is out there.
Yeah, they said that you can put all of the world's population of 7.8 billion right now in a 2,500 square foot house in Alaska, on the land the size of Alaska, and still have
having the 21 square foot house.
And for everyone to have a 2,500 square foot house of the 7.8 billion people, and still have 250,000 square miles left over, and of course the rest of all the continents on Earth empty.
Right.
with no people. So and if you've ever traveled across the great western United States and desert Southwest and beyond, west of the Mississippi alone in this country, it's
open land.
empty. It's empty.
It's open land.
Okay, there's little groveled little places, little you know, I don't mean to be rude or crude, but most of the places you don't want to go visit because there's like 10 cats, 14 dogs, 85 cars, some washing machines, and an old mule outside of the trailer. And there they are in the middle of the desert. But they're probably ecstatic and happy because it's very uncomplicated what they're doing. And they're probably closer to the earth in vibration than most of the rest of us. So I'm not being rude on purpose or crude, but honestly, I was amazed at the tolerance that people have for the clutter and the crap that they don't remove from their yards, traveling across the country from the and that's just from the freeway, looking down into their backyards or at their land from a distance. You're like, oh my God, you can see the story of their life. It's literally rusted out halls on their front lawn. You can see the first washer, and when it died, the second washer, and when it died,
And every car make and model.
And every car. Well, we need it for parts. And well, all the parts are rusted too. That's all right. It costs too much to move it now. We'll just make it a planter,
We have farms out in Oregon that look like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, then in Oregon's a totally different thing now. It's all the homeless tents and the heroin junkies and the meth heads and their endless caravan.
Not in the country.
Yeah. So, let's just see what he's got to say, and then we'll wrap it up.
It's right there in Enoch's reference to the 4 quarters of the world. Our magnetic field, according to Enoch, lies in the geographic north of the greater realm.
So the magnetic north lies where we are right now. And we're going to take the journey going to the right to the 3 o'clock position. And then we'll go down to the 6 o'clock position. And then the 9 o'clock position. And then back here to the magnetic north of the whole. And I'll let him tell you the story, and then we're almost done.
And the first quarter is called the east, because it is the first. And the second, the south, because the Most High will descend there. And the west quarter is named the diminished. And the 4th quarter, named the north, is divided into 3 parts. First of them is for the dwelling of men. The second contains seas of water, the abysses and forests and rivers, and darkness and clouds. And the third part, the garden of righteousness. The vortex is in the center of the realm, or what is more appropriately termed true north. The X-ray image of the land on the moon map does not display this vortex, but, as discussed, it is present in the second image of the firmament. At the crown of the firmament, we see it reflected, the navel of the world. It could be that the garden of righteousness that Enoch refers to, and what is also known as Hyperborea, is located right where Sturgios has plotted it. But this land is not the true north or central vortex. That can only exist in the center.
There was that explorer that went up to the Arctic Ocean and found that there, not only does the compass begin not to work, but the indigenous Eskimo people, not spelled Eskimo, but Esquieaux, Eskimo people, said the only way that they can navigate truly up to what would be considered our North Pole was to begin looking at the sky, because they said the sky becomes a mirror up to show them in advance what is on the ground beneath it.
Celestial navigation.
I mean, and not just the sky, but that if it's clear, then it's water. If it's clouds, then it's land. And I forgot what else that they said. But ultimately, you end up going in. It takes about 1,000 nautical miles going after you stop using the compass, going towards what would be perceived as our North Pole, and you end up going in to the Earth. You're no longer going across. And at that moment, there's a tropical forest that begins. There's no more ice. You go over this huge ice shelf. Did you know that icebergs and glaciers only form at the mouth of a river, where the water was allowed to flow, meaning above freezing temperature, but that the mouth of the river itself is frozen, and it's that water that keeps passing over that frozen spot that creates glaciers. And they said that there's no other spot up in the Arctic that creates glaciers but this one spot, and it's because the river's flowing from inside the Earth past tropical lush rainforest and this tropical zone over the frozen surface up above, and forms the glaciers that begin going and then cracking off into huge icebergs that begin to float. It's phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. And, we remember that Captain Cook tried to traverse and do an Antarctic journey, among other journeys, but one of his most infamous was to plot and to go to where no man had gone before. And 3.5 years later, he had clocked over 60,000 nautical miles, and he was still following the Antarctic shore. It was still off to his left after 3.5 years, and he had clocked 60,000 miles, and he still was going into unventured area. So that's because he was going around the inside of the frozen ring.
Right.
Because it wasn't a continent, it wasn't a destination, it was actually just going around a crater. It was going around the inside of a lake on the shore. Eventually, he would end up coming back to his starting point, but it wouldn't be for 60,000 miles. And he certainly hadn't gone south at that point. Basically, at that point, he was just traveling east, around the inside of a circle.
And as stated before, there is some curvilinear distortion present in the composite image.
Let's see, I'm going to go down here to the very end. Geographic directions. So every time that you're going,
see the southern magnetic pole of our magnetic field.
Ron made a really good point. He said that right now, if you had the money and the funding, with a compass, you could get to what would be Hyperborea, which is in the unknown land, and we still think that it's unfrozen because it's at what would be perceived as the northern part of our whole dome thing. That if you took off from, say, the Bahamas in a boat or a plane, and you just kept your compass where it was reading going east, that eventually at that southern latitude, you'd come around eventually to where you'd hit a continent that wasn't on any of our known maps. That's just putting it out there. Okay, so.
If by chance you were lucky to head in the direction of true north.
You know that Richard Branson, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk are very aware of this information, as are the powered elite. You know that they might actually go there on a regular basis and have homes there. You know that they have this information, and that they're just masquerading like with these limitations of, we just spent $5 billion going into weightlessness. It's like bullshit. There is no such thing as weightlessness anyways. Where we are, when you go up high, it's dense layers of gas and things like that. Yeah, I can see I'm boring you. No, kidding.
No,
okay, we're almost.
Then the compass would most likely fail altogether due to the iron core. As the mysterious text, the Inventio Fortunata states, here the ship's compass loses its property, and no vessel with iron on board is able to get away.
Yeah, that was the other point that I was going to make, is that even if you do go on a ship, it can't have any iron in the ship because it stops you from going.
And also planes that would have any iron, right?
Yeah.
And certain metals that are magnetic, you'd never be able to pull away from it.
Right.
Right. So that's a problem. Okay, so this has been good, and it's been long, and we knew that it would, but I think it got wrangled even with my faulty audio, which I apologize for. But here's where we are. We're not insisting that you believe anything. That would be a limited understanding for me to need you to validate me or to shore me up and keep reassuring me, because I wasn't convinced myself about something. Actually, I need no convincing. I'm quite good. I find what I'm the expanded version of the knowledge where I happen to be residing right now to be exhilarating. I don't find anything wrong with it. I think that, like anything, that the more that I have found out in my life that I know, the more that I realize that there is to know. And
But you touched the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, and I think that the people that are haughty, and that insist that they're right and that they found the true way, and if you don't go with them, that you're doomed forever, and they chastise you and they talk about you and they act like they're praying for you, but really what they're doing is they're putting themselves above you and judging you and saying that you're this and you're that and you're this. That is when you actually hardly know anything. Because the more you know, the more that you know that there is to know. Bottom line.
Yep. Lots to learn.
I'm under construction. I'm just but a student, But I'm using the tools that are provided to us on Earth very well. So, as you are. And thank you for all of your work and your preparation today. I really apologize for my audio. It's getting even worse as we go.
Yeah, you'll have to get that, either get a new
to get a checkup from a doctor. Yeah.
Figure that out.
Okay, guys. There's so much love for you here as always. I'll put the link in the thing, and everybody let this information comfort you and
sink in.
Let it marinate and decide not to decide, but don't wear a mask and don't get the V. And do not consent or comply or forfeit an ounce of liberty for a pound of alleged security. Don't ever do it. It's a perpetrated ruse. You are it, and you have all the power that you need. You've got to intend your mind more. Okay.
All right.
Hey, guys. Much love. Ending now. I think by now we've already gone around the entire thing. I've taken so much